Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to Rebuild Like a Nerd, the series where I take what I already know to rebuild classic buildings, I guess at this point, in The Sims 4. And now we're moving on to the Landgraabs. This is the one that you guys wanted to see most desperately, so we're going to do it today. It's definitely a mid-century contemporary blend, which is really interesting. It's not going to look as similar as the pancakes did, where it looked almost the same start to finish, because instead my goal is to bring up more of the contemporary shape, but keep the mid-century colors. We're also going to move a lot of the sort of patio area to the front. We're going to add a pool, since again that wasn't actually in the game when it released. We're also going to use terrain tools again because those are just fun, but inside we're going to keep the same layout for the most part, and I really do want to focus on bringing in more contemporary shapes but keeping the mid-century energy as well. Upstairs again, keeping a very similar layout. We'll have the sort of main suite over on this side with a patio. However, with neighborhood stores and now growing together, I do want to make a priority of adding an additional bedroom to any of these rebuilds because it just feels like a good thing to do. So I'll actually be putting 2 bedrooms over here and another bathroom, and of course have the tower office as well. So in the end, hopefully you'll be able to look at it and be like, oh my gosh, that's totally Landgraabs, but also is going to look a lot better than this. So without further jabbering, let's go ahead and destroy the lot. So I think one of the more interesting things about how this build was laid out and how we're going to continue to keep it laid out is how the rooms are very much all strung along in a line. That is quite an interesting shape. But we'll have the entryway, sort of a little sitting room, and then the lounge in here with the television and whatnot. I'm going to add a small sunroom off the back here, and then a little bridge, bear with me, to a guest house. And then over on this side we'll have the dining space, which is still going to be pretty big, and I'm going to snuggle a little half bath here. Originally the main floor bathroom was quite large, but I'm just going to do a half bath, and then quite a large kitchen. Now if you had laundry day, adding a little laundry room off the kitchen, possibly with a second toilet, would probably be a good move, but I'm actually going to start with just the base game, upload the shell as just the base game, and then go through and actually furnish with a few other packs, and I'll explain why when we get there. But for now, let's just finish up this main level. We're going to be doing lots of interesting shapes, and of course, I'm working off of screenshots from the pre-build, so yes, I did plan this out, spent a lot of time with this one, and once again, if you'd like to see what I'm working on, offer feedback, insight, and all of that stuff, join the Discord if you haven't already. You guys are fantastic builders yourselves. I love seeing what you're doing, and I won't lie, I really love when you guys help me figure out builds and remind me of features that I didn't know existed and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good time. And now let's work on the second story. Originally, as with most of the base game builds, the stairs were incredibly wide. I don't mind having the 2 wide stairs for the first level stairs, but I do mind having the 3 wide stairs leading into the tower office, so we won't do that. But we can have this. Now this area right here, I'm actually going to open up into the floor below because I feel like that is a Landgraabby thing to do. And then working this way, we'll have a little hallway. This will be a slightly smaller guest bedroom or nursery if the Landgraabs expand their family, which they usually do in my saves anyway. And then this can be Malcolm's room, and then over here will be sort of the main suite, which is going to look pretty broken up when I draw it in, but you'll walk into sort of a small sitting area. We'll have the bed in here, a massive walk-in closet, and of course an ensuite bath. Finally, the tower office. This is the part that I think is going to help it feel most like the original Landgraab build. Affluista Mansion. It's right here. I'm trying to remember it. It's literally right there. Anyway, so there is the base shell. Next up, we're going to create the sort of cliff that this house is going to be sitting on. So I'm going to raise the foundation. Let me check my notes. 8 times. This is by far the easiest way to get your build sort of on a hill. And I think that this looks pretty good. I'm going to scooch the lot back a little bit, make sure it's kind of centered. A little bit off center, but I'm going to add some stuff over here. So anyway, the easiest way to get your house on a hill is by far to raise the foundation the height you want the hill, and then grab flattened terrain and just flatten it out like this. And then from there, you can raise the house again to get that foundation back. And there's the house on a hill. If you're trying to add stairs going up multiple levels, it can be really helpful to place floor pieces down first. The flat squares specifically is what I'm using, because then you can make sure that your stairs are actually going to line up. Like right here, this isn't what I want, so I'm going to scooch this up a little bit, and then I can attach the stairs like so. I think I need to lower this down a little bit and bring this one closer, like that. Now I also want to add some grass with this rebuild, and I want it to look not like fake, but like obviously this grass is like, it didn't grow there naturally, you know? So what I'm going to do for that is use my handy dandy custom room tool to sort of draw out an area to place the grass. And I need to do this now because it's going to impact where those stairs are going to end up, right? Because I actually want to scooch these stairs back a little, maybe. There we go, scooch these stairs back a bit, and scooch these stairs back a bit, so that when I remove these walls, I can add some stairs going up to this sort of fake grass place. Another interesting thing about the original Landgraab lot was the set of palm trees actually sort of in diagonal planters, and I'd like to keep that. So these will become planters. I also really want to keep the interesting sort of star shape from the original roof, so I'm going to use platforms to recreate that shape and then use it sort of as a sunshade over the pool, like so. And I'm also going to use it as a shade up here over the sort of deck off the office, but we haven't got that far yet. So I think we should probably do the roof next. I think this is going to make a lot more sense when you guys see how the roof is going to come together. So what I'm doing for the roof is using platforms, and you can use the platform tool by just clicking and dragging. And this is very similar to the look the original builders were trying to go for, except they didn't have the platform tool yet. So you can see how just adding the roof to that half all of a sudden makes a lot more sense than this side. I'm also adding thick columns by just creating rooms and then placing the platform on top of that. If you raise up a platform 3 times after you place it, so it'll be a total of 4 units thick, I suppose, then it will be the same width as the walls are, or it'll be as thick as the walls are wide. My point is, once you paint it to all look like the same color, it'll all look like it's the same thickness as well. So I'm going through with my platforms just like this, and then anywhere that I want to add sort of a recessed portion to do a little patio or whatever, I'm going to draw another platform, but then raise it down all the way, raise it down, lower it down all the way, and then move it to where I need it, like so. So I'm going to do the same thing off the office here. I'm going to draw a little platform and then another one right here to cover up where this patio here is extending. Raise it up a couple of times and then use another platform. Draw in where I need it lowered, lower it down, and there's another patio. These really thick flat roofs that you see around are from the contemporary style. So brief history, in the late 1890s, early 1900s, International style was born. After International came Modern. Modern transitioned into mid-century Modern, which is mostly so popular because it was a really popular build style when the soldiers came home from World War II. They wanted to build their homes in the mid-century Modern style. And then mid-century Modern turned into contemporary in the late 1970s. And that's still the style we sort of run with as our quote-unquote modern style. I feel like something is off here, so I'm gonna have to double check some of my dimensions. Fixed it. All right. Also, this sort of idea of something sort of sticking out and looping over the back, that's a very contemporary idea, and I thought that it would look nice, especially since I'm doing it specifically in white, which is sort of a new color to the palette. The build started very much a lot of green and a lot of stone, and we're definitely keeping those, but the white will just bring it up to date a little bit more. The last sort of bit of roofing I have to do is back here on this one, which I'm going to start that little deck there, and then just grab a platform and put it where I need it. The original siding was a combination of Retro Luxe in this default sort of green swatch and the Mega Stacked Stone. Now I'm specifically using the Mega Stone also because it does have a matching foundation, which is super handy. So I'm going to go through with this first and just color everything, and then we'll go back in and actually add the other pieces sort of as accents. And then the Mega Stacked Stone, which I'm going to place on this part here, and specifically on this bit here. I'll explain why in a second. I'm also going to add some stone accents to the back. Also going to use Plaster Makes Perfect, and it will match really well with the Firmament platform, like so, which also matches with the Firmament foundation, so I can use that on some of these areas. Most of it though will be the There For You foundation, which again matches that stone. We also have the There For You platform, and just like that, it's really all coming together. The original exterior trim was the simple exterior trim, which I am going to use in some places. I do need to be careful though, because if there is an area I don't want the trim to be, I'm going to have to draw a special room to keep it from happening. For example, right here, I really only want it on these 2 tiles, so what I'm going to have to do is go into this room and build a very small room. Grab the trim, place it, and then remove those walls. I've decided I don't like how the stone looks up here, so I'm instead going to grab one of these platform trims that's just the white. I think that looks better. And I'm going to add the turf next. I would do flooring all at once, but I want to show you guys how it looks with the grass. I think you're going to really like it. So I'm also adding some over here, so I can just put that right up against the foundation over here, and then over here, of course, it's a separate piece, but we're going to add some plants and things in this area. So that's how it's going to look with that green sort of turf. Next up, let's talk about doors and windows. Now, the floor-to-ceiling window and door was actually a big part of the international modern and mid-century modern movement. I will just be referring to it as mid-century probably. My point is, we'll be using the floor-to-ceiling windows. Now, if we wanted to go in the more modern direction, like contemporary modern, we would just probably be using white or black, probably white since we do have a lot of white in this build, but since we do want to keep some of the mid-century energy, just do a better blend than was originally on the build, I'm going to be using brown. And the good news is the base game is perfect for doing mid-century and contemporary builds, and it even has this lovely green swatch. So green is the color of the day. I'm going to prioritize having the windows on the front and back of the build and not the sides. That is mostly due to this being in the desert. While yes, the Landgraabs have a ton of money, I'm sure they don't really mind not wasting too much of it on heating and cooling costs. Well, cooling costs. That, and there's really nothing to see side to side. You've mostly got rocks. I have nothing against rocks, by the way. I think rocks are fantastic. I enjoy them very much. While I'm placing all of these windows, I'd like to thank you guys for, when I'm recording this, we just passed 7,300 subscribers. However, I am recording it before I've even edited the hospital video, so it won't come out for a hot minute. But that's neither here nor there. My point is that we are sneaking up on 10,000, which is super exciting, and I feel like we should do something to sort of celebrate, but I have no idea what. So if you guys have any ideas for what to do for 10,000, let me know in the comments down below, and while you're down there also, which townies you think deserve the next Rebuild Like a Nerd makeover. The original build had this modern awning window quite a bit as well. Now I am going to switch out the swatch. I didn't like the combination of the white and the brown. I much prefer just the solid brown. But I'm going to use that in this room specifically since it's supposed to be more of a lounge room with a TV and stuff, and you don't want a glare, but we still want some windows. And then I'm going to use the sort of doubled up version of that same window in this room. I'll keep the same height so it has that same line across, and then the door is given a little bit of privacy and a windbreak by this column here. I also thought it might be fun to put a ladder inside the column to go up to this floor, but we'll see about that. And once again, in trying to keep as much of the original Landgraab energy as possible, I will be using the same columns, and that is why I left this the way I did. I'll put it back on the screen here for you, but the original mansion, you can see it has a very similar, almost the exact same set of columns on the front of the build and sort of the same spot. So I feel like that pays a little bit more respect to the original home, but I got rid of that floor trim in between just to keep that vertical line strong. I'm going to place the same columns on the guest house. Well, I had them evenly spaced before. I must have built this wrong. Close enough. Okie dokie. Now, I believe the pool and fountain tool both came out after the release of the game. I could be wrong there, as I was not here for the release of the game. Well, I mean, like, I was on the planet, obviously. But I believe the pool and the fountain tool both came out pretty significantly after the fact. Now, once I've placed the fountains, I can take them and actually use the little foundation tool to lower them, which will give sort of a stepped bit of landscaping, which is fun. Also, I feel like this little zigzag, again, trying to respect the original build, plays into that bit of zigzaggy pathway that was originally there. Now I'm also going to put some fountains at the back of the build. Now this almost looks like a little bridge. Isn't that cute? Could I technically build a bridge if I wanted to? Yes. Keyword wanted to. I'm also going to keep the original walkway pattern, which is the concrete pavers with gravel accent. Now originally the walkway was only 2 tiles wide and this is 3, so what I'm going to do is place it and then rotate it and sort of have alternating bricks. Now, does this take a bit of extra time to accomplish? Yes, I think it is worth it, just for that little bit of more interesting detail that it adds. And the good news is, you don't have to do it, you can just download it from the gallery. Aren't you special? The original fence was this woven lattice fence, which I'm going to add along this side for some privacy. Now, due to these both being on foundations, there is a gap there, but that's okay. I just have to draw a little fence piece, and then pick it up and move it into place. Ta-da! Going to add the same privacy fence on the front porch area of the guest house. I suppose we can add a lower fence along the edge. Probably just that one. I'm going to use the barely concrete for those 2 little pieces and on top of all of the roof and upper patio pieces. Of course, grab those palm trees, like so. And then over here, I think I'd like to add some of the agave plants. I want them to be fairly evenly spaced and definitely look modern and intentional and all that stuff. A big part of modern gardening is a lot of symmetry and geometry, but I also don't want them to be all the exact same. Like, we need a little bit of organic shape in here too. So I think we'll start with that. And of course, we always have some rocks to back us up. The rocks do be floating though. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna add a little tiny bit of natural landscaping over here for some contrast, and I guess I can use a few wildflowers. I'm gonna shrink them down though. And then at the back here, I need to do a little bit more with the terrain here to just smooth it out and help it look a little bit more finished. Alright, I think that's where I'm going to leave the landscaping for now. We can come back when we do the outdoor furnishing and see if we want to tweak anything. Now, starting with the floors, originally it was quite a dark gray, which I don't think we're going to run with. I'd like to stick in the warm greens and browns, maybe warm grays, but not that dark, cold gray. I think something like this will work just fine. And the walls were just white, very boring, quite contemporary if we cared that much about it. But I think I'd like to bring a little bit more color into it. We can still go with the clean walls though, no molding or anything. Okay, so for contrast, here's the white, and there's the beige. That immediately makes it so much warmer and really blends in the whole desert tone. Now, would I originally go with brown and green, like on my own? Probably not. But I do think it's the best fit for the direction we're running with these guys. Looks like Malcolm had some blue walls, so we can give those back. I'm also going to switch out these stairs for the brown, sort of modern version. I thought about going with the green to match the doors and everything, but I think the brown just suits the warmth of the area much better. Does it match the floors? No. Am I going to let that bother me? Maybe. Or I could switch out for beige and just have them coming straight out of the walls. That's fun. Alright, well, we'll leave it like that. Looks like the original railings were glass. Do I want to keep those? They're fine, I guess. If we're going to do the glass, then we have to use the matching fence to place around the stairs, and I guess for this little wall here as well. Traditionally, for a more contemporary, even the mid-century originally, you'd have more of an open floor plan, but this very long strung out floor plan does not lend itself to being opened up very much. So we could do a couple of arches, probably a combination of arches and doorways. So we could do arches coming off the main room like this, and into the kitchen. But then upstairs, I think I'd rather do doors, because then we have the doors leading into the main bedroom area, basically the owner's wing, and then also some doors leading into the hallway for symmetry. I don't want to put a big glass door here because I want this room to be dark for movies and whatnot. And I did add this wall in the middle here just to sort of block the view, for privacy for this little guest house. Now I'm going to very quickly finish all of the bathrooms so that we can move on to furnishing, but again I want to upload just a base game shell version for any of you who may want to add it to your game, decorate it yourself, or don't have the packs that I'm going to use to finish in the rest of the home with. Why am I going to be decorating using multiple packs instead of just using the base game? I am so glad you asked. Because I do really want to bring in some more quality mid-century items, and there's just so much you can do with just the base game. And as several of you pointed out, mansions are a lot of fun until you're stuck with using the exact same furniture items 20 times over due to it just being the base game. So there is the shell. This will be available. This is just the base game only shell on the gallery, as well as the completed furnished version, which we will finish up in just a few seconds here, obviously. All this information will be in the video description down below. And before we continue with furnishing, if you haven't already, it would mean so much to me if you would give this video a like. That lets me know that you're enjoying the video, and it lets YouTube know that my content is worth watching, and it should ship it out to other people so that they can watch and enjoy as well. And for my next trick, furnishing the inside of a mansion with a contemporary and mid-century set of furniture that makes it look like the Landgraabs actually have this thing called taste. I know, shocking. I think I need another window. There we go. So originally in this little sitting room area we had, I think, these chairs. But what I would like to do is actually go into styles up here, and I'm going to go with contemporary, mid-century, and modern. Is this not a much more fun mid-century chair? This is definitely more in the contemporary direction with those legs. This one I think is fantastic for this home. It even comes in the cute little green. I think we could combine it with this slightly sized down rug from Eco Lifestyle and use this table specifically And I'm going to use my favorite coffee table trick, which is to take this round one from Tiny Living, scale one down, and then slide it underneath. I think all we really need now is a piece of artwork for this corner. Something about the falling pears just feels right. Alright, so moving on to the lounge area, which definitely needs a fireplace. And we definitely want to go with comfy over style, so probably leaning back into mid-century for some of the furniture in this one. Who am I kidding? I'm just going to use a sectional. This room originally had a chess table in it as well, which, oh, I do have one. Awesome. I was going to say, which I'm not sure is going to show up, but it's worth a shot. And I think that is what I'm going to do for the living room, lounge, movie room, family hangout space. Which brings us over to the sunroom next, and I think we can go for something a little bit more cute in this room. Nothing too crazy, of course, don't want Nancy to throw a fit. And just a few nice little plants. Nothing too exciting in there, just a nice place to go read a book. Now for the dining room, which I'm pretty excited about, this should be pretty simple, but we can use a rug to start pulling in some fun colors, so let's see if we have anything actually good. This one could be nice. And then just a nice long dining table, and I think we have to do matching chairs for sure. I'm going to get rid of these overhead lights and replace it with something a little bit more interesting. We could definitely bring in some contemporary energy with these lights, I think, provided so long as we balance it out with some other art over here. Now, is it going to be worth finding anything to put on this wall? I don't think so. I think that wall is busy enough. I don't want it to be too cluttered, but I think that this is a pretty decent mid-century contemporary blend of a dining space. You guys, of course, will have to let me know. I think I just want a couple of chairs sort of looking out in this direction here. It should be totally fine to put them directly under the stairs. That really shouldn't be an issue at all. And I need a nice little thin table to put between them. I don't see any here, but I know if I get rid of this, I can use the Snowy Escape one, just like that. Let's see, what else would go in an entry space? Perhaps a simple but subtle armoire for coat closet? It's definitely, like, there, but it's better than hanging coats straight up on the wall, I think. A rug. Genuinely not sure what else to put in here. I think that the really spaced out furniture definitely goes with the original sort of EA build style of having everything years apart, so I might just leave it. Moving on, once again, Dream Home Decorator. This is pretty much a Dream Home Decorator build at this point. I'm going to grab some green cabinets, I think, to stick with the rest of the house, and start with pretty much just wrapping these around. Now, obviously, I'm not going to leave the kitchen like this. I just wanted to get an idea of how to use the space. Well, after spending way more time than I'm willing to tell you on this kitchen, I think I'm finally at a spot where I don't completely hate it. It's a bit of a struggle for sure, since it's so square, but it's kind of too late for me to change that. So it's definitely a dine-in kitchen, but should be plenty of space for the whole family to cook together, entertain while you're cooking, all of that sort of stuff. So out here would probably be a good place for a bar, but we're not going to do that right now. We are going to move on in the main house and move up to the main bedroom. Now, originally the main bed was this one, which, I mean, it technically would still fit, but I think we can give them a little bit of an upgrade, style-wise anyway. I keep thinking that this space just feels so small, but then I remember that it's supposed to feel small because we are, in fact, going to be adding on a whole walk-in closet, which is going to do a lot for the amount of space we have. So over here, we'll just add a few closet items, just a little bit of his and hers there. And we already did this bathroom. Now for this private balcony, I don't know what their sort of hobbies are. I don't remember. I'm just gonna grab a little bench, probably. Nothing too exciting. Now this here is just sort of going to be a spare bedroom for whoever might need it, whether that's going to be sort of a house guest or if they have more kids. So for now, again, just setting it up to sort of be a little default, nothing too exciting space. And now we have to talk about Malcolm. Looks like in his room originally he just had a desk and some bookshelves. I don't see under any other skill and activity items. That looks like a teenage male bed. So maybe we'll just use some of the high school year stuff in here for him. I think that's going to be Malcolm's room. I just having a little bit of a creative, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what to do for the kid. I'd like to give him something nice, but also I just don't really know him very well. Hopefully this is still an upgrade though. Last room of the main house is of course the upstairs office, where I'd like to have desks for both of the adult Landgraabs. I feel like they'd like their own distinct spaces, or at least Nancy would appreciate them having their own distinct spaces. So What do you think of this? We've got a nice big desk over here with some diplomas. We've got a slightly smaller desk over here with some other gadgets and gizmos, and I'm never really sure what to do with this, but I feel like whatever they're up to up here, a topographical map seems like a good thing to have. Next up, little guest house, which shouldn't be too tricky. I think I'll actually extend this wall all the way over. I know that leaves just a small entry, but that's okay. For now though, I was thinking about the kitchen, so I'm going to finish thinking about the kitchen and just grab a nice basic little setup here. Alright, I moved the door into the bedroom so I could have a little bit of a living area in here. Nothing too exciting really, just a nice little chair, just like that. Nice little bed, nice little dresser, maybe a nice little rug. Aren't the Landgraabs incredibly wealthy? Yes. Do you really think they're going to spend that much money on a guest house? I don't think so. Just enough nice stuff to flex, not so much nice stuff that it'll eat away at their interior design budget. Now I did say I wanted a bar over here, so I'm going to grab one of those, and I think I might use the Desert Oasis Deluxe, whatever that kit is called. There, just a nice little bar set up there. I didn't add a grill though. There we go. I'll add the grill like that. Okie dokie. Are there any yard activities that we should place out here? Actually, this little fire pit's not too bad. I'm gonna grab this and this. We'll of course add some decent chairs. There's some brand new copper outdoor seating. Oh, I can move the whole thing. How exciting. Cool. The rest of the lawn will just be open because we have grass. And I think that's it. Here are some before and afters. Again, with this one, I wasn't looking so much for a super duper close replica as much as keeping a lot of the original shape, but just bringing it actually into the 21st century. Of course, also holding on to some of the 50s and 60s color and design choices that evidently were made. So I think the most significant additions to the outside were the platform roofs, the more modern contemporary landscaping style, and of course the terrain manipulation. Oh, and a pool. Now the floor plan is actually pretty much identical. I did move where the second staircase was to bring it up into the office to make it sort of part of the owner's wing, as it were, but we did add an additional bedroom as well as a guest house just to make sure that it's ready for any gameplay that may come up. Now inside, the main changes that I made, aside from just overall adding new packs in, was I tried to keep both contemporary and mid-century in the same room, but blend them a little bit better, as well as give a more cohesive color palette throughout. Changed the walls to beige, which you don't usually do. Usually you go from beige to white, but I felt like the beige helped keep everything warm and not too sterile, especially since so many of the other colors we're using were already browns and greens. With all that being said though, what do you guys think? Do you think this is an improvement? Do you think that I strayed too far from the original compared to how we did, say, the pancake build? I know this one's a lot different. I think overall though it looks a lot better and is still very Landgrabby. Speaking of the pancakes, I believe it was that video where I broke down how long these videos actually take to make. You thought that was pretty interesting, so here's how long this one took to make. I don't know how many hours it is yet, but I will say, wow, that's a lot, because it probably is. Thank you so much for building with me today, and I look forward to building with you again very, very soon. Bye!